Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another episode of my Clean With Me series. Today's video is going to cover a disaster detail of a nasty farm truck I had in a few months ago, and as always, you'll get to see the entire detail from my perspective. Okay, so taking a quick look around this old farm truck, and as you guys can imagine, this thing hasn't been cleaned, let alone detailed, for years now. The paint is in really rough shape, there's all kinds of junk and garbage in the box, and there's piles of caked on dirt everywhere you look. And moving inside, and it's abundantly clear why this truck has earned the disaster detail status, as no matter where you look in here, there's years of dirt, grime, and stained carpets to remind you that this truck has been absolutely used and abused for years on the farm. Between the layer of caked on dust over every interior panel, to the stains on the seats and carpets, to all the dirt, debris, and garbage in here, this is going to be one of the biggest detail jobs that I've faced. And now just before we jump into the video guys, take a quick second and subscribe to the channel and turn the bell on so you don't miss out on any future videos like this one. Alright, so just to give you guys the background here, this detail was done all the way back on December 2nd, and at the time it was a little too cold to wash outside as winter had pretty well set in here. And it was minus 10 Celsius that day, so this vehicle actually belonged to a repeat customer of mine. I have done two of his other vehicles over on the main channel as well, one being the disaster Escalade and the other being the lifted black GMC Sierra. And fortunately I was able to film the customer's reaction after this detail, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video to catch that. Now thankfully there's no carpeted wheel wells to deal with on this Chevy, but I do remember seeing a few comments on the main channel video about these wheel wells where people could see the frame in a few of the after shots and assumed that it was dirt and that the underside of the frame weren't sprayed off for some reason, but I can assure everyone that it was done, as you can see. So if you notice it in the after shots, all you're seeing is slightly rusted, unpainted metal. So I also figured I would clarify and let you know I'm still using my Honda GC160 pressure washer in this video, as I hadn't switched over to my new electric one yet. And despite it being very powerful, I am noticing there's a bit of a film on the paint that isn't coming off with the pressure washer, although it will when I move on to the wash process. Now in the bed of the truck here, I went to spray it out as I normally would after filling almost an entire bag full of garbage from here, and wasn't able to get the frozen chunks of garbage to budge with the pressure washer, so once I got those loosened up, I just used the dustpan to dispose of it. And you might wonder why there was so much garbage in this vehicle when it was dropped off. And the real story on this one was that the customer's hired farmhand was actually supposed to clean the truck up, but after recently becoming a customer of mine with his 3/4 ton Sierra, he made the smart move and brought it to me instead. So I don't typically see vehicles with that much garbage in them, but in this case, it made sense.
Do just what you want. You're the one I trust, and I always be right.
Alright, so with the pre-wash rinse done, it's time to prep my wash buckets. So as I've mentioned before, I always use the 2-bucket method to wash vehicles, which means I've got 1 bucket with just water, and then I'll add about an ounce or so of soap in my other bucket, using a grit guard in both. And then for my foam cannon, I simply add a couple ounces of the same soap, fill it up with water, and then shake it up really good before I start spraying. Now with the truck all foamed up, I'll go around with the detail brush and use it on the emblems and quickly go over all the cracks and the crevices around this truck to make sure I can get any dirt lifted out of there. Now starting on washing this truck, and one question I know I've seen quite a few times is why don't I put the wash mitt on my hand? And the reason is that since I rinse it out after every section and then I wring it out, I would constantly be having to take it off and put it back on, which would eat up time, and it's just one of those small efficiencies that I found after detailing for so long. And one thing I always do when I'm washing a vehicle is take a good look at the paint and take note of any scratches or rust spots or things like tar and other surface bonded contaminants so that I know where to use caution around and where I really need to focus on with the clay later on. Here's a quick look at the amount of garbage in this truck now that the seats are out. Yikes. Next step is to obviously remove all the garbage, and if anyone is wondering, my pile off to the right is for recycling and any personal items that weren't obvious garbage. So between the garbage inside the truck and in the box, I pulled an entire bag of recycling and 2 full bags of garbage from this vehicle. Wow. All right, so with the seats, console, and floor mats out, it's time to get started on vacuuming up the massive amount of dirt and debris in this truck. And I know I've been asked quite a few times why I always use my crevice attachment on my vacuum and not something bigger. And honestly, the reason is because I get a little bit more suction using it since it has a smaller opening, but also because it would absolutely drive me crazy if I had to constantly switch between attachments, and I'm fairly certain I would always be leaving the other one somewhere just out of reach. So I prefer to use this one as it can be used anywhere in the interior, and overall I feel like it saves me time. Here's a quick look at what a massive difference vacuuming alone has made to this truck. Moving over to the seats, and I'll start by spraying on some of my carpet solution and then agitate all these stains with the drill brush. And it's definitely important to note that when you're doing seats like this, you don't want to saturate the seats with cleaner because the foam underneath will soak it up really fast. So my advice is to not spray too much solution on, and then when you're extracting, to make sure you're compressing the foam a little bit to ensure that you can get them as dry as possible. So even though these seats didn't look dirty all over, aside from a few stains, the extractor is pulling a ton of dirt out of them, which is really nice to see. Moving to the carpets, and like I've probably said before, that since I pre-treat with the carpet solution, I only use hot water in the Bissell. And so as I make the first pass, I'm spraying water at the same time, which is helping to further dilute the solution. Then on the second pass, I'll keep spraying water, and I'll closely watch the color of the water coming through the extractor. If it's still dirty or I can still see solution, I will keep making passes, spraying water until it's coming through clear. Although if it's not quite clear, I'll spray down some more solution, use the drill brush again, and repeat the process until the water does come out clear and I know the section is clean. Then I'll switch to just extracting to make sure I can get the carpet as dry as possible. Now, if any of you are wondering what kind of extractor I'm using here, it's a Bissell Spot Clean Professional, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you would know just how much I love this machine, as it really does an incredible job on dirty carpets and seats, and it's very reasonably priced too. So if any of you want to check it out, I've got the link to it along with nearly all the other tools and products I use listed in the description for you. Now, if you guys have seen the main channel video, you would know just how many gross stains there were in the carpet. And fortunately, the combo of the carpet solution, drill brush, and Bissell extractor I use does an incredible job. But one thing to note is that back in 1998, vehicles were still being made with quality parts, and the carpet in here was actually pretty good quality. And that really does make a huge difference in how easily stains can be removed from carpet. So do have to say I love the blue interior on this truck, and kind of wish the car manufacturers still, did a little bit more variation these days and offered options like this. Now, in case any of you are wondering how long it takes for the carpets to dry once I'm done with the extractor, it's usually only a couple of hours, as I've got the heat on in the garage and all the vehicle doors open, so it's usually dry by the time I finish up with the vehicle. Alright guys, here's all the nasty water that was pulled from the seats and the carpet in this truck, and the nice layer of sludge at the bottom. Gross. Here's a quick before and after of the carpets, and after extracting, they honestly look brand new again. So moving to all the interior trim now, and after spraying some all-purpose cleaner diluted 10:1 into a slightly damp microfiber towel, I'll go over all the interior surfaces and even the seat belts, as there's usually a fair bit of dirt or dust on those too. And I should also mention that I'm wearing a mask for the majority of the interior work, and that's because I'm fairly certain this vehicle was smoked in, and with all the dust that I'm about to tackle, it's really just the smart thing to do. So another one of my critical tools in my arsenal is these detail brushes, and I honestly could not have gotten through this detail without them, as the dirt was deep down in every crevice and really caked on too. So using the APC and the brush, I'm able to get that all agitated and lifted out so I can just wipe everything clean with a microfiber towel. Alright, so busting out my McCulloch steamer for all these dirty plastic pieces, and the steam makes super quick work of it as it can get everything loosened up and ready to just be wiped clean with a microfiber towel. Moving back inside, and with everything nice and clean now, it is time to dress and UV protect all the interior panels and trim in here. So using a microfiber applicator pad, I'm applying my absolute favorite product and something I've been using for over 10 years, and that's 303's Aerospace Protectant. This is going to leave everything with a non-slippery, non-greasy, and matte finish when it dries. It just makes everything look absolutely incredible. Alright, with the interior basically done, I'll move back outside, and because I know this truck hasn't been detailed for a really long time, if ever, I'll spray on some quick detailer for lubricant and then use some detailing clay to pick up any of the surface bonded contaminants like tar, tree sap, road grime, basically anything stuck on the paint, and having a look at the clay after, and it pulled a fair bit of gunk just off this one door alone. Now to protect this truck's paint, I'm using my dual action polisher and a finishing pad to apply a layer of my Meguiar's Mirror Glaze synthetic sealant, and even though the paint on this truck had a fair amount of swirls and scratches as you can imagine, the customer didn't opt to have it corrected, which makes sense being this is a farm vehicle, but I would have loved to have done it and really made this paint shine. And now moving to the glass, and for the hard to reach area that is the inside of the windshield, I really don't do anything different, but what the secret to streak-free glasses here is to be using a waffle weave towel, as it will not leave any streaks or lint behind like regular microfiber towels will. Second last step here is to quickly go around and apply 303 to all the black plastic trim to really make it pop.
Looks good, man.
Yeah.
Looks real good. That's a beauty.
It's like a whole new truck, eh?
Right on, definitely.
Now have a look inside because that's where
the
bulk of the work was.
Holy crap. That's awesome. My hired man made this truck so dirty and you made it look like new. Oh, it looks great. Looks awesome. Good work. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That is
my
cool.
pleasure.
There you go. Excellent.
Yeah.
Good, good. Well, you got a customer for life anyway. Well, thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Definitely.
We will get in touch.
Okay.
Sounds
Good.
good.
Thank you guys. Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed this disaster clean with me episode. If you did, make sure you smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos like this. Enjoy the guitar outro, and I'll see you guys in the next one.